So it's actually very funny because the iPhone 11 is probably one of the best iPhones that Apple has ever made. But as of right now, there's also a lot of other movement that's also kind of being had with the iPhone 11. And the fact that it got iOS 17 this year, and the fact that we're now kind of getting into 2024 now, which is pretty crazy. Personally for me, I look at a device like the iPhone 11 and I still think it's one of the better devices Apple has ever made. And it is a really good priced iPhone for an iOS 17 device. If you're wanting to buy it, if you're wanting to go and pick it up, I do think it's a very solid option of a device to pick up that really doesn't cost that much money, that isn't super outlandishly expensive, but it's a very good device for that type of price, which I think is very, very important. The first thing I want to say, the software experience on iOS 17 right now on the iPhone 11, I think is very, very good. I think the iPhone 11 does a really good job on the version of software that it has, and I do think it's a super important thing to keep in mind. Like when you're getting a device like the iPhone 11, you're not buying the latest and greatest, you're not buying like the best device anymore, but for the price that you're paying for, I think Apple did a tremendous job. Like I think, for the most part, Apple did a tremendous job on this device, and I do think that's a very, very cool thing. Personally for me, I think with the iPhone 11, from a hardware perspective, although it was one of the last iPhones with an IPS panel for iPhones for the Apple's, base models, I do think Apple did a great job with this device, and I do think that's a super cool thing in and of itself. Now on top of that, I do think within iOS 17, there's so many little tiny little things that Apple basically added within this version of software, which I think actually makes this device a very solid device, which is super cool. But I also think from a performance standpoint, for this thing having that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside was actually very cool. I was very happy when this device got that version of software, and even now, this particular iPhone still does a tremendous job from a performance standpoint. And if you are somebody who wants to go ahead and buy this type of iPhone, chances are you're going to be getting a really good device for the most part, especially when compared to the other iPhones, like the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14. Maybe not the iPhone 15, but the 13 and 14 still do a tremendous job from that particular perspective. Now, I would also say from a camera side, this iPhone is still doing very, very well. Again, not perfect, but because the iPhone 15 still only had like a wide and ultra wide camera, I think those iPhones actually stand up fairly well against these ones, which is actually very funny to me. Now, I would say the biggest thing here probably also is the next version of software. I can almost guarantee that the next iPhone, with iOS 18 is probably going to end up getting iOS, 18. I think the iPhone 11 is probably going to end up getting it, which I think is a super cool thing. So for once again, I'm really looking forward to it. And that in and of itself is going to be another awesome thing for this particular device. So to kind of sum it up, what I'll definitely tell you is I definitely do think that the iPhone 11 is a very good phone. I'm a fan of this phone for sure. I'm not the biggest fan of this device when it comes down. I don't think this iPhone is perfect, but I do think for the most part, this is an almost perfect iPhone as of this point. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.